Okay, so as you can see, I made some changes. Basically, I decided to get some controllers and trace those and stylize them up so I can have more things represent the games that I play, because it's not just Mega Man. I also wanted to show that not only do I draw and paint, but I use computers to create art. And lastly, I made some changes to my person just because I wasn't thrilled with, I didn't take my time with it when I was showing you how. So I did a little bit better of a job on that and changed I changed the gradients, as you can see as well. So the next step is to go back to my previous parts of my projects, like for example this one and this one, and you can see that I have them all open as tabs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my lines and I'm going to start thinking about which one I want to use to represent play. So now that I separated that tab, I'm going to try and make it so I can see both. When I move this little window here, I can drag this inward and I could command 0 so it shows on the whole screen, and then this is my main piece. So great, this is set up better now. So I could bring in a group of lines. Like I think these zigzags will best represent my video game playing, so I'm going to bring them in and put them below this area here, or really anywhere, because ultimately we're moving them. Oh, looks like, did I move all of them? Let's find out. No, I didn't. So sorry if I'm making you sick by doing that. I'm going to Command Z, make sure I have them all grouped. I should have grouped them before I brought them in. So Command G to group, and then use my selection tool to bring them over here and see how they interact with Mega Man and the game. Alright, so as you can see, there are some problems. This is intended to be my background. So I'm going to Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and make sure that Mega Man is visible. I then might turn it so that it has like an interesting composition, and already that looks pretty cool. The controllers come up nicely. So I'm gonna, maybe I'll even add more actually. This is a nice one where I can maybe have some other kind of line as well. However, I'm not really loving any of these types of lines, so maybe I'm gonna stop for a minute and make a new line directly on the paper using my pen tool. Okay, so you can see that I added a few different lines and grouped them all together. Here's what they look like separate from the rest. So this is what I'm bringing in that I drew on the page, and I grouped it so that when I'm moving them, I can move them separately from when I'm moving my zigzags, which are also grouped. All right, so although that's pretty complicated, I want to make sure that my lines go to my edge of my pages. The purpose is to try and have like a little bit more movement going through my piece. But I don't want to like take away from Mega Man. So let's see, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger too. Alright, so you may think that that looks messy enough. I kind of agree, and that's why I purposely made these lines very thin when I made my new lines. But I also want to have shapes in here. So I'm going to go to my shapes, and let's see, these I think will make a nice Mega Man type shape. So Command C to copy it. I'm showing a different way than dragging. And Command V, well, I'm going to click my page first, and Command V to pop it in. And then I can put it where I want. Now, if I want these, obviously I want these to be background to the controllers and everything else too. Arrange, Send to Back. Okay. And if I wanted to bring them up a step, because right now they're even behind the little lines, I can Object, Arrange, bring forward, and that'll make them go above the farthest back thing, and I can keep doing that until I get them where I want. But now that I have them, I might want to separate these. So I'm going to take this set of them here and group them and put them over here and make them bigger so that my pages, I have the design spread out a little bit. So you can see that just because your shapes are done doesn't mean that you're locked into anything. You can change whatever you want as you go. And when you need to, you can make more of something that you might want to make more of. All right, I think that that one is definitely messy enough. I think I'm going to put Mega Man right about there, so he looks like he's maybe balancing on the words. All right, I also want to make him bigger because he's important. There you go. All right, so, and tell them one more time. So although this looks a little bit messy in composition, that's kind of what I'm going for. You might be not be going for that, but you do want to somehow use in each composition one example of your lines at least. I have literally 4 examples, so that's probably why it's extra messy on this one. Your one example of your shape patterns, obviously your word, and something figurative as opposed to geometric or abstract, something figurative that represents what you're doing in your word. Okay, so that's basically 4 things that you should have in each piece. An example of your lines, an example of your shapes, your word, which should be an action word, and of course your objective shapes or figurative shapes that talk about what you're doing it with. So for example, that would be these in this case. All right, so I'm going to continue to go back to my lines and look for something that I think works well for my create. These lines feel like they have a lot of creation techniques, so I'm going to choose those. And I could copy paste them, just Control C, or I could drag them in like what I'm doing now. I also think that these are going to work really nice for, you don't have to do 2. I think that these are going to come up really nice. So I'm going to put those in here too. And then when I go over to my shapes, let's see, what shapes represent creativity? Well, these 2 things look like pages, these 2 sets. So pages, that's what I draw on. So that's probably going to make a nice example. I might have to make some changes to the color though, because they don't really fit my color scheme anymore. I must have changed them too much. So now I'm Command C, Command Ving, and there they are. I'll bring you back in a couple minutes and you can see what I come up with for their composition. Okay, as you can see, I made some last minute changes to some of my composition, especially on play. I brought in my shapes from, I should mention this step actually. When I brought in my shapes from this area, you can see that not only did I use them all, I'm going to Command C them again and bring them in there. And I'm going to move to an off area of my page just so I could show you how easy this was. It looks like I did a ton of work up here bringing, not only did I bring them in, but it looks like I made like a ton more. I want to show you how easy that is. Once you have it grouped as a set, you just use your selection tool and hold the Alt button and it duplicates tons and tons more. So all I did was occasionally turn them and flip them over themselves so they look like a whole different set. But they're really the same set repeated over and over and just rotated and stuff like that to make them feel different. And then I just, of course, fit them together. So so be aware that you have these capabilities. You drew all these shapes. You can make them look however you want. And then you can see how this is working out. So that's how I did all this. And of course, I occasionally shrunk some. And it makes it look like you did a ton of work that really took all about, the last 15 seconds. So that's how I made this whole area. I didn't individually draw a million more hexagons. So just so you're aware. I have some lines overlapping here, like my spirals and my wavy lines are kind of overlapping here. And that's it. I'm going to call this project done. And so now I'm going to put my name on it, and I'm not going to use this terrible Myriad Pro text. I'm going to do something at least a little bit interesting, so I'm remembering to go to font. And something like that looks nice, pretty cool. All right, so my first name is Mr. My last name is Sear, and the text is way too small. Hopefully you couldn't read it, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, but not so big that it takes up my whole project. A little bit bigger than that, I guess. All right, there you go. And then I'm going to copy paste my signature on each of them by holding the Alt button. And I have a complete project to hand in. Let's get rid of whatever little scrap this is. All right, that's the end. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, or at least came up with some great artwork as an effect of it. Before I sign off for the day, I just wanted to remind you or make you take notice to how well my color themes really helped pull everything together. I have a lot going on in each piece, and they wouldn't seem this solid. They'd even appear even far more messy if everything was rainbow. But that kind of collects it and pulls it together. It makes it feel like the nice triptych that it is on 3 things that I like to do.